Absolutely brutal now. I'm gonna have to get my waterproof some. Woo! It's bad. Merry Christmas, everybody. Cheers. Hello, how are you? And welcome to my little Christmas specially type walk thing and a review of the year. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got Mrs. Boardman's Fjallraven Abisco Dome tonight, and I've never put it up, so you'll have to be patient with me, but the forecast is going to be very wet and probably windy, and that's just going to be inside the tent. Tent's up. It took some doing. I reckon that took me about 20 minutes or something like that, so but for the first time. But I'm very impressed with it. I really am. I mean, the big test will be tonight, obviously. Wind going from sort of like 20 miles an hour at the moment, and I think sort of like very early morning they're going to hit 40, so they're saying. So it's a good test, and it's going to absolutely pump down with rain. But look at the size of that thing. It's over 3 kilograms in weight, and I've got a Tyvek ground sheet. I didn't bother buying the ground sheet. But that's the tent that Mrs. Boardman wanted me to get, because obviously we're fed up of climbing over me and the Abisco Light 2. So we've gone for this dome. So I've got the Abisco Light 1 now for bike packing. It's very light, very small, compact. And the Abisco Light 2 is going to kind of be my solo winter tent, so if I need a bit more space and protection. And then we've got this dome here for when we both go out. She's not with me tonight because I think it's going to be too cold for her. She doesn't do cold weather very well, but it's a fine looking thing. I think you will agree with me. There's loads of room, so I've actually got me that's a 25-inch mat that tucked up against that side, and you can see there's more than enough room for another mat of the same size there. Double vestibules, and the vestibules are huge, and then you've got a little bit of a loft cargo in there, and then you've got ventilation at the top there, ventilation at both sides. You've got a pocket on each corner, which is fantastico. But it's brilliant, isn't it? Nearly 2:30 now, so I've got a good hour or so before it gets dark, so I'm just going to get relaxed. I'm going to set my kitchen up and have a drink, and then I think what I'll do is I can kind of go over what we're going to talk about this evening. Most of it's going to be a load of piffle, to be honest, but we're going to look back over the year, pick up some of the trips that have been very good and all that kind of stuff, and then maybe outline a couple of plans I've got for early 2024. But happy Christmas. Just relaxing now, actually. I've just had something to eat, just a little snack to get me through. It was one of those like pasta and cheese jobbies and a mug shot mixed together, because we like fusion. Wait till you see what I've got for proper tea. That's proper fusion. So I'm going to chill out now. Nearly 3:30, so it's going to get dark within the next 30 minutes or so, and then we can set the mood and have a natter about 2023. Well, welcome back. The sun's set now, if it did actually rise at all today. We had some pretty heavy winds, and the rain's tried to come on a couple of times. But the beginning of the year, if you remember right back, was I had a summit camp up on Glencoe, and then next time out was Loch Dockard, and that summit camp at Glencoe was absolutely the coldest night I have ever had in a tent. It was absolutely freezing, really cold, and it was good then to get out the week after, I think it was, at Loch Dockard, and in similar conditions, and having tweaked just a few things, got it right and slept quite well there, and it was a lovely place, Loch Dochard, and I need to go back again. But a good start to the year, if not a bit chilly. Then fast forward possibly a couple of months into March, and well, I did a few islands of the Scottish Western Islands this year, but the favourite was without a doubt the island of Coll. It was just, right at the beginning of the year. The weather was absolutely perfect. I'd actually planned to go out there a little bit earlier, but the weather was bad and the ferries had been cancelled. But finally managed to get out there and hiked all the way around the island, and it was just really, I just love the islands. I just think everything about them is fantastic. They're not only very beautiful, but they're also manageable by, you know, by foot or by bicycle, and I don't know, without contradiction, every single person, every resident that I've met on one of those islands, whether it be Skye or Arran or Coll or Colonsay, they've just all been absolutely fantastically friendly, and I don't know, I'm looking forward. I've got a couple of plans to visit a couple more islands in 2024, but maybe more on that a little later. But it was a lovely island and a couple of lovely beach camps, and obviously the aurora came out, which I can count myself to be very lucky, certainly at that time of year. But I'm looking forward to revisiting the islands again. Lovely. You must go see them. I think around about that time when the Durst X Mid eventually turned up. Crikey, what a performance that was. And I think if anybody actually watched it, I got done £166 to free the tent up from customs, so not the best thing I've ever done in my life. But the tent, what an absolutely fantastic thing it is, and I'm glad I got it. I was umming and ahhing whether to get the actual DCF version or the double skinned, and I'm glad I went for the DCF version. It's been fine. I've had no real problems with condensation. I mean, you do get the condensation, but because of the room inside the tent itself, you very rarely come in touch with the sides. It's obviously very, very easy to pitch, incredibly light. And I enjoy it. It's a nice tent. I'm not going to get rid of it anytime soon, not least because it cost me a fortune, although I'm absolutely certain that it would easily sell on. But with these three Fjallravens I've got now, and then that Durst, I think I'm covered. So I had some great adventures in that one, didn't I? And not least when we went to visit the island of Skye a little later. Every now and then it's nice to go camping with somebody else, and this year we caught up with Carl Johns again when he popped up to Scotland, and spent a couple of nights with Carl at Fort William and then down Loch Long, and that was a great night. The Loch Long was even special, you know. It was really good. We had a right good chat and that kind of stuff, and it's always nice to collaborate and catch up with folk, like-minded folk, isn't it? And then 2023 was the year that Mrs. Boardman decided to dust off her hiking boots and get a camping bag out and come back out camping with me. It's been ages, and she's been out with me on a few occasions this year, and it's been nice to have her along. And thus the new tent. Do you like it, everybody? It's going to get a right good test tonight. Anyway, good to see you, Carl, and of course you, Mrs. Boardman. So we're about the Skye Trail trip, falling in the planning of it, where my foot problem eventually decided, right, that's it, we're not doing this anymore. And if you remember back, I actually set off on the Skye Trail and got just to end of day one, and it was just too painful, and it swelled right up and all that kind of thing. So that was kind of the trigger that decided me to get it sorted out once and for all, because it had been playing up on and off for over 2 years, and after x-rays and scans and all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to see a consultant, what we thought was originally gout and then potentially arthritis turned out to be something completely different, and we learned all about sesamoid bones, didn't we? Anyway, subsequently since then I have managed to go see a podiatrist, and I've got some insoles created. I've actually got them in my shoes today, and I've only had them a couple of weeks, so I'm just getting used to them, but ultimately they kind of support my foot in such a way that it just takes a little bit of pressure off these bones, and apparently, according to the scan, the damage has already been done, so fingers crossed we can keep it at bay and, more importantly, continue to get out. How do you like the look of that, eh? Right, I'm going to get stuck into this and then we can talk about the Sky Trail. So the Sky Trail, well, it were almost perfect. I definitely set off in the right direction by going south to north, and it played into my hands with regards to the second half of the Sky Trail, which was up over the Trotness Ridge, because that's where I got the best of the weather, if not a little bit too hot. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it was a cracking trail, about right length for me as well, you know, 80 odd miles. If anything, I probably rushed it. I did it in 4 days or something like that, so quite tired. Obviously I got nosebleeds, and I think that were pretty much my body saying a little bit too much. But the X Mid was fantastic. The weather was a little bit mixed. The camp at Sligacken was excellent down by the river. It was really good, and obviously the ridge itself was tough. It was hard. It was a hard day, but you know when you've done a hard day and you're grateful for that fantastic camp spot at the end of it, and that's how it turned out to be. So I was really pleased with that. I'm toying with doing north to south, and I think if I do north to south, I'm going to take my time a little bit, probably just keep the mileage down 10-15 miles a day and just soak it up a little bit more and really enjoy it. But I have got some plans for 2024, and they currently don't include the Sky Trail, but it was a great trip, and I really recommend anybody who has the ability or the desire to do it. This is good. The bacon's a little bit strong, but by goodness good. So we were finishing the Sky Trail, tired but delighted to have got it done, because we squeezed that into the month of May, didn't we? And then the foot problem, yeah, it continued, didn't it? So then I took to a bit of bike packing because it wasn't quite as painful on the bike. So we got out to the island of Bute and had an absolutely great couple of days around the island of Bute. I've been there many times. I've hiked the West Island Way, which is on Bute, and cycled it a number of times, and that was a lovely trip. It really was. And weather were a little bit hit and miss in some of the areas, but it were all right. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll be back again soon, that's for certain. And we did the Caterham Dirt Dash, didn't we? And we did some other cycles. That Caterham Dirt Dash was good. I bailed out again, and it's the right thing to do for me. You know, it's all about having fun, but I thoroughly enjoy the dirt dashes. And again, there's 3 of them now, so there's Caterham, Dorset and Dunoon. I didn't get to Dunoon because of the injury, but it was nice to get out and do some bike packing. I did a couple around Argyll and Bute from Inverary, and indeed I've got some pretty decent plans for bike packing in 2024, so keep an eye out for that. But great to be back out on the bike, and it's good. You know, I was a cyclist at heart before I'd long got into hiking and climbing and all that kind of stuff, so cycling's where my heart is. Continuing with the review, we started to get his feet back a bit, didn't we, after the cycling, and there were a couple of hills in the Luss Hills which I'd still not done, and kind of needed to start getting a little bit of climbing, a little bit of elevation, and some camps, and did Benbray, which was really good, and there were a couple of others I did, I can't remember, Benaich, which was fantastic. That was a great camp, really enjoyed that. and I would definitely go back to that hill. It was epic for such a small hill, and a nice walk in as well up Glen Luss. But there's still a couple of hills in Luss I haven't done yet. I mean, they're not everyday hills that everybody goes up, that kind of stuff, but the views are spectacular. Generally, you know, you're going to get a view of one of the locks, and they're definitely worth looking at. So got a couple more of them to do, and I think we kind of closed down summer. I think I put a video up saying that was probably the last day of summer, because we'd had some nice weather, and I can't remember which hill it was now, but I took the Durston up on that one as well, and it was a good night for it, for a last camp, and fantastic sunsets. So yeah, nice to get back up on to the tops again, even if it was local. And then apart from a couple of other short hikes and camps, it was back up to the Isle of Skye with Mrs. Boardman, and we spent a couple of days up on the island of Skye, one in a guest house where we've been to a couple of times before, and then up to the lookout at Rubberhunish. It was what a fabulous night we had there. Again, we were very lucky with the weather, but outstanding sunset, and then the aurora came out to play again as well. It was a very, very green sky that night, and again, lucky to get such a lot of views. There's certainly good shows going on at the moment if you put yourself in the right place, and it was nice to get up to that spot because I'd not actually done that when I did the Skye Trail, so kind of ticked a box as well. But a fantastic camp, yeah, really enjoyable that night. Good. And then on to recently, really, and actually managed to tick off that last hill in Aqua, and it was hard. It was a tough climb, was that. And I'm glad I set off at noon from home, because ultimately I was running out of light as it was anyway, but it was good to get up there, get it done. A little bit disappointed that I couldn't get down back via Ben Narnain the morning after, but I found myself in the Clag, wrong side of a gully, and I just couldn't be bothered, so I retraced my steps. But I was glad to get it done, and it was absolutely freezing on the tops, but it was good to get the Durston out again. I was confident there was going to be little to no wind, so it was a pretty confident bet that I took, but glad to get that done. And then we're here, it's sort of like a couple of nights just before Christmas Day, and out in this new fantastic tent, which is very spacious. Good test tonight. I think I mentioned that about 6 times. So we'll see what happens when this wind gets going tonight. Oh, just been resting for a while after my tea. Getting quite tired now, 8:15. It's like it's very, very calm now. I've just checked the forecast, and it's definitely going to be in 40-45 mile an hour winds later on, so the calm before the storm, no doubt. Okay, I'm about done now. I'm going to relax and lay down. I think it's more than probable that I shall bring you back, particularly if these winds get up, and I shall show you if this tent's going to cope with them or not. I think the only problem I've got is the tent pegs, because it's so stony. I'm not really getting the depth that I'd like, but I've treble pegged that corner, and fingers crossed. I know it's hard to believe that it's going to blow bonkers, but at the moment, all's good. It's absolutely brutal now. I'm going to have to get my waterproofs on. I think I've lost a guy line, or a couple of them. Some of the gusts are huge. bad. I lost 3 pegs. I've got them back. It's killer, it's an absolute killer. Problem is, you see, that the wind's coming from the northeast and all around here is stone in the ground, and I'm not getting the depth for the pegs. I've got 3 in that corner. I'll just see how it goes. Just a quickie to let you know, I'm going to try and get packed up. I keep losing pegs on this side of the tent. I'm having to go back out and put them back in, and there's just not enough depth because of the stone. Okay, I'm back at the car. Right, I'm going to get my head down at the back of this car for an hour or 2. And, well, that's all I've got to say, to be honest. Merry Christmas, everybody. If I don't see you before, I'll see you next year. Bye for the new.